Welcome to Lesson 16.5 on Funder Policies on AI. This lesson examines the evolving landscape of funder expectations and requirements regarding artificial intelligence use in grant applications and funded work. Funder policies on AI are new, inconsistent, and rapidly changing. Some funders have issued explicit guidance while many remain silent. Some require disclosure while others have not addressed the topic. Navigating this varied landscape requires careful attention to individual funder requirements and thoughtful preparation for emerging expectations. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the current state of funder AI policies, know how to research funder-specific requirements, and be prepared to respond appropriately, whether funders require disclosure, prohibit AI use, or remain silent on the topic. The current landscape of funder AI policies is characterized by significant variation and rapid evolution. Most funders have not issued formal policies specifically addressing AI use in grant applications or funded work. This silence does not mean AI use is prohibited or permitted. It simply means funders have not yet articulated expectations. Federal agencies are beginning to address AI use more explicitly. The National Institutes of Health, or NIH, has issued guidance on AI in research applications. The National Science Foundation, or NSF, has addressed AI in peer review processes. Other agencies are developing positions. Private foundation policies remain largely unstated. While foundations are certainly aware of AI developments, most have not issued public guidance. Individual program officers may have perspectives that are not reflected in formal policies. Policies are evolving rapidly as the implications of AI in grant work become clearer. What is current today may be outdated in months. Continuous monitoring is necessary to stay informed. Individual funder requirements vary significantly, making generalized guidance difficult. The only reliable approach is checking specific funder requirements for each submission. Federal agencies are leading in developing AI policies for grant work, though approaches vary. The National Institutes of Health has addressed AI use in the context of research integrity. NIH guidance emphasizes that applicants remain responsible for the accuracy and integrity of all application content, regardless of whether AI tools contributed. This positions AI as a tool that does not diminish human accountability. The National Science Foundation has issued guidance on AI in peer review processes, restricting reviewers from using AI for proposal evaluation due to confidentiality and integrity concerns. NSF has been less explicit about applicant AI use in proposal development. The Department of Education has addressed AI considerations in education research contexts, particularly regarding student data and algorithmic decision-making in educational settings. These considerations extend to grant-funded research. Agency positions continue developing as experience accumulates and technology evolves. Guidance issued today may be supplemented or revised as agencies refine their approaches. Check agency-specific guidance before each submission rather than relying on general impressions or outdated information. Agency websites and funding opportunity announcements are authoritative sources. Private foundations present a different landscape than federal agencies, with formal policies less common but relational dynamics more prominent. Most private foundations have not published formal AI policies. Their websites and grant guidelines typically do not address the topic explicitly. This silence leaves applicants to navigate without clear guidance. Program officers may hold informal expectations that are not documented in official policies. These expectations may vary across individuals and programs. Understanding program officer perspectives requires relationship cultivation. Trust and relationship dynamics influence foundation expectations in ways that differ from federal agencies. Foundations often emphasize partnership and authentic engagement. Concerns about AI may relate to authenticity rather than compliance. Some foundations emphasize authentic organizational voice in ways that implicitly discourage heavy reliance on AI. They want to hear your perspective, your experience, your voice. Generic AI content may not satisfy this expectation even if no formal policy prohibits it. Direct inquiry about AI use may be appropriate in some foundation relationships. If you have an established relationship with a program officer, Asking about their perspective on AI assistance can provide useful guidance. Frame such inquiries professionally. Researching funder requirements for each submission ensures you understand and can comply with specific expectations. Reviewing funding opportunity announcements carefully is the essential first step. FOAs may include specific guidance about AI use, required disclosures, or prohibited practices. Read the entire announcement, including attachments and referenced policies. Check funder websites for policy statements that may not be included in individual announcements. Some funders maintain policy pages addressing various topics, including emerging issues like AI. Website search functions can help locate relevant guidance. Search for recent guidance or FAQs that may address AI questions. Funders may post clarifications, webinar recordings, or question and answer documents that address AI concerns, even if formal policies have not been issued. Review terms and conditions for funded awards to understand ongoing expectations. AI policies may affect not just application processes, but also how you conduct funded work. Terms and conditions establish expectations for the entire award period. Contacting funder staff with specific questions is appropriate when published. Guidance does not address your situation. Frame questions professionally and specifically. Program officers and grants management staff can often provide helpful clarification. Some funders now explicitly require disclosure of AI use in grant applications, making compliance straightforward in principle. When disclosure is required, follow funder instructions precisely. The requirement may specify where disclosure should appear, such as in a cover letter, specific form, or designated section. It may specify what information to include, such as which tools were used, for what purposes, and what human oversight occurred. Requirements may apply to specific AI uses only. A funder might require disclosure when AI generates substantial text, but not when AI assists with grammar checking or literature searches. Understand the scope of disclosure requirements to avoid both under-disclosure and unnecessary over-disclosure. When disclosure is required, provide it accurately and completely. Incomplete or misleading disclosure is worse than no disclosure. Take this obligation seriously as a matter of both compliance and integrity. When requirements are ambiguous, err toward disclosure rather than trying to find ways to avoid it. Transparency is generally valued, and voluntary disclosure demonstrates responsible practice even when not strictly required. When disclosure is required or chosen, craft statements that are professional, accurate, and confidence-building. Keep disclosures brief, clear, and professional. Disclosure statements need not be lengthy. A few sentences can convey the essential information without consuming valuable space or appearing defensive. Specify which AI tools were used, such as ChatGPT, Claude, or specific research tools. This specificity demonstrates transparency and allows funders to understand exactly what technology was involved. Describe the nature and extent of AI assistance in terms of what tasks the tools supported. Did AI assist with literature searches, draft text generation, editing, formatting, or other tasks? This description helps funders understand the role AI played. Emphasize human oversight and accountability to address the core concern behind disclosure requirements. Funders want assurance that qualified humans took responsibility for the work. Explain the review, verification, and editing processes that ensured quality. Affirm responsibility for accuracy and integrity explicitly. State that the authors or applicants take full responsibility for all content, regardless of what tools contributed. This affirmation addresses the fundamental accountability question. Several disclosure statement approaches can be adapted to your specific situation. A basic disclosure might read, "We use generative AI tools to assist with copy editing and summarizing publicly available literature. All AI-assisted content was reviewed, verified, and edited by the proposal team, who take full responsibility for the accuracy and integrity of this submission." A more detailed disclosure might specify, "We used Claude for initial draft generation of sections 3 and 4, ChatGPT for literature search assistance, and Grammarly for copy editing. Each AI-generated draft underwent substantial revision by subject matter experts. All citations were verified against original sources. The principal investigator reviewed and approved all final content." A research-focused disclosure might address, AI tools assisted with preliminary data analysis and visualization. All statistical interpretations were validated by our biostatistics team. Research conclusions represent human expert judgment, not AI interpretation. A writing-focused disclosure might note, AI assisted with structuring and drafting proposal narrative. All content reflects our genuine organizational experience and perspective, verified and substantially edited by program staff who work directly with the communities we describe. Adapt these examples to match your specific situation and comply with funder requirements. While rare, some funders may prohibit AI use in specific contexts. Understanding and complying with such prohibitions is essential. When prohibitions exist, understand their scope precisely. Does the prohibition cover all AI use or specific applications? Does it apply to proposal development, data analysis, or both? Does it extend to funded work or only applications? Clear understanding prevents inadvertent violations. Comply fully with prohibitions when they apply. If a funder prohibits AI use, do not use AY for that submission. Attempting to use AI while hiding that use would compound the violation and damage your integrity if discovered. Prohibitions may reflect legitimate concerns that deserve respect even if you disagree. Funders may have valid reasons related to their specific context, review processes, or values. Compliance demonstrates respect for funder authority. Document your compliance with prohibitions for potential future inquiries. Maintain records showing that prohibited work was completed without AI assistance. Such documentation protects you if questions arise later. If you find a prohibition unreasonable or unworkable, the appropriate response is respectful dialogue with the funder, not covert non-compliance. Funders may be willing to clarify or adjust policies in response to constructive feedback. When funders have not addressed AI use, navigating requires judgment guided by general principles. Silence does not mean prohibition or blanket permission. The absence of explicit policy leaves room for responsible use, but does not eliminate the need for judgment and care. Do not assume that anything goes simply because no policy exists. Apply general principles of responsible AI use that we have discussed throughout this course. Protect sensitive data, maintain human oversight, ensure accuracy, preserve authentic voice, and take responsibility for all content. These principles apply regardless of specific funder policies. Consider voluntary disclosure as good practice even when not required. Proactive transparency demonstrates responsibility and may preempt questions that could arise later. When in doubt, disclose. Prioritize authenticity and accuracy regardless of whether specific policies require it. These qualities matter for persuasion and trust independent of compliance considerations. Excellent work that reflects genuine expertise serves your interests whether or not policies address AI. Prepare for policies to emerge and evolve. Funders who are currently silent may develop policies in the future. Practices you establish now should be sustainable under policies that may emerge. Responsible use positions you well for any future requirements. Staying informed about evolving funder AI policies requires ongoing attention to multiple information sources. Monitor funder communications for policy updates. Subscribe to funder newsletters, follow their social media accounts, and check websites regularly. Policy changes may be announced through these channels before appearing in individual funding announcements. Participate in professional networks discussing AI in grant work. Colleagues facing similar questions can share insights about funder expectations and emerging practices. Professional associations may convene discussions on these topics, attend webinars and conferences addressing emerging issues in grant work. Funders sometimes use these forums to discuss developing perspectives. Professional development events increasingly address AI implications. Follow trade publications and sector news covering philanthropy and research funding. Publications like the Chronicle of Philanthropy, Inside Higher Ed, and sector-specific outlets may report on funder policy developments. Share information with colleagues facing similar questions. When you learn something useful about funder policies or practices, share it with your network. Collective intelligence helps the field navigate emerging challenges more effectively. Anticipating future developments helps you prepare for the evolving policy landscape. Policies will likely become more explicit over time as funders gain experience with AI and develop considered positions. The current period of policy silence will likely give way to more articulated expectations. Disclosure requirements may become more common as funders seek transparency about AI use. Prepare for disclosure to become standard practice rather than exceptional. Establish disclosure habits now that can continue under formal requirements. Standards for responsible use may emerge through funder policies, professional associations, or sector conventions. Best practices are developing through collective experience. Engaging with these developing standards positions you to meet emerging expectations. Funder comfort with AI may increase as experience demonstrates that responsible use enhances rather than undermines grant work quality. Early concerns may moderate as positive examples accumulate. Your practices should be sustainable under various future scenarios. Whatever policies emerge, responsible use, human oversight, authentic voice, and accurate content will remain valued. Practices built on these foundations will serve you well regardless of specific requirements. Organizations can prepare proactively for the evolving funder policy landscape. Developing internal AI policies before external requirements compel them positions your organization ahead of the curve. When funders require AI policies or disclosure, you will already have frameworks in place. Creating documentation practices that support disclosure ensures you can respond to disclosure requirements when they arise, track which AI tools were used for what purposes, what human review occurred, and who approved final content. This documentation enables accurate disclosure. Training staff on funder expectations and internal policies ensures consistent practice across your organization. Staff should understand both current funder requirements and your organizational approach to navigating uncertainty. Establishing processes for monitoring funder requirements keeps your organization current as policies evolve. Designate responsibility for tracking developments among your key funders. Share updates with relevant staff. Building flexibility to adapt as the landscape evolves recognizes that current approaches may need adjustment. Avoid locking into practices that cannot accommodate future requirements. Design systems that can evolve with the policy environment. Engaging constructively with funders about AI expectations can benefit both parties. Professional inquiry about AI expectations is appropriate when published guidance does not address your questions. Program officers and grants management staff can often provide helpful clarification. Frame questions around your desire to comply with expectations and submit quality applications. Frame questions around compliance and quality rather than seeking permission for specific practices. Ask what expectations funders have rather than whether specific AI uses are allowed. This framing positions you as seeking to meet expectations rather than test boundaries. Offer to share your organizational practices when relevant. Funders developing policies may benefit from understanding how responsible organizations are approaching AI. Your experience can inform better policies. Participate in funder-convened discussions when available. Some funders host listening sessions, webinars, or working groups to gather input on emerging issues. Engaging with these opportunities contributes to policy development. Provide constructive feedback when policies affect you, whether positively or negatively. Funders generally want policies that work for applicants as well as for their own purposes. Respectful feedback helps refine approaches. Today's lesson explored the evolving landscape of funder policies on AI use in grant work. We established that funder AI policies are new, varied, and evolving rapidly. Most funders have not issued formal policies, while some, particularly federal agencies, are beginning to address the topic more explicitly. Individual funder requirements vary significantly. Research specific funder requirements for each submission by reviewing funding opportunity announcements, checking funder websites, and contacting staff when needed. Do not rely on general assumptions or outdated information. Each funder may have different expectations. When disclosure is required, craft professional disclosure statements that are brief, clear, and confidence-building. Specify tools used, describe the nature of assistance, emphasize human oversight, and affirm responsibility for accuracy and integrity. Apply responsible use principles regardless of specific funder policies. Data protection, human oversight, accuracy, authenticity, and accountability matter independent of compliance requirements. Practices built on these foundations will serve you well as policies continue to develop. In our next lesson, we shift focus to international funding, providing an overview of the global funding landscape beyond U.S. domestic funders. Thank you for engaging with these concepts about navigating funder AI expectations.